What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new football news video where we will talk about the Premier League and when it could be finished or if the season could be voided, which is the worst case scenario. Let me know guys, if you are a Liverpool fan or if you support another club, how many of you want the Premier League season to finish, no matter how long it takes to finish the Premier League season. Let me know. And if you are supporting any other club than Liverpool, let me know, do you want the Premier League season to be finished or should there be a cut-off point? Because a lot of player contracts and broadcasting contracts are expiring at the end of June. So that is the cut-off point to some people, while others are saying, like me as well, that the Premier League season and the whole football season should be finished no matter how long it takes. So if we have to still play this season in August or in September, we still should finish it before we start next season. That's the most sensible option to me. But for example, Gary Neville is saying that he's ever so doubtful, more and more doubtful, that the football season will resume, and he's losing confidence in that. So let me know, what do you think in the comments below? And of course, if you enjoy these types of videos, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on the bell notification so you never miss the latest Liverpool and football news. The Premier League as an organization is united on playing the season, and they are saying that no June 30th finish or transfer window talks at the moment, because the Premier League clubs remain united in their desire to finish this season. But the controversial proposal of completing the campaign by June the 30th was not raised in today's Premier League meeting, where they talked, all the Premier League clubs and the Premier League executives talked through video calls, and they discussed a whole range of topics. The Premier League reiterated that the season will not resume until the British government declares it is safe to do so, and I think that's the right decision. You shouldn't play football when it's not safe to do so, and the pandemic hasn't reached its peak still in the United Kingdom, which is really hard to see, and it's really painful. And I hope that all you guys are well, you are staying at home and you are safe, and all your family is safe. If you have any stories for me on how this situation has affected you or your family members, let me know in the comments below. So far my family is good, but my girlfriend's family actually has been affected, because my girlfriend's grandfather was tested positive and he is recovering in a hospital. He doesn't have a very severe symptoms, thank goodness. He only has a slight fever and he's getting better day by day, so hopefully he can make a full recovery. No other family member in my family or my girlfriend's family so far has the virus, which is really good, and I hope that stays this way throughout the whole year. So this is what the Premier League spokesperson said: "We are acutely aware of the distress that this disease is causing, and our thoughts are with all those directly affected by this situation. In common with other businesses and industries, the Premier League and the clubs are working through complete and complex planning scenarios. We are actively engaging with stakeholders, broadcast partners. Our aim is to make sure that we are in a position to resume playing when it is safe to do so, and with the full support of the government. The health and well-being of coaches, players, managers, club staff and the supporters, that's our priority. And of course the Premier League will only restart when medical guidance allows it." I think this is a very difficult situation, and we don't know how this will evolve in the coming months, so it's anybody's guess when the Premier League season will be safe to resume, hopefully in June or July or August, but we don't know that yet. And Gary Neville is not so confident that the football season will be able to resume. This is what he said today. Where we were 5 or 6 weeks ago, when we weren't doing shows virtually, I was 99% confident about football being completed this season. I was confident about all competitions, whether it be behind closed doors or in other circumstances. But that's having been part of the League Two's owners' discussions over the last few weeks, seeing the complexities and seeing the challenges that the PFA have got with contracts. And he's referring to, of course, Salford City, who Gary Neville is one of the owners of, and they are discussing potential contract problems, contractual situations that are arising in that league. And I think it will happen in the Premier League as well, that some contracts will expire on June the 30th. So FIFA should just give an extension to the contracts, and they should just give clubs and players the chance to extend the contract until the season is over, and that way you can mitigate and avoid a lot of administrative problems. Gary Neville also continued, seeing the issues of starting behind closed doors and then a player gets infected again and they have to go into quarantine again, and the challenges that exist with fans traveling to potentially Istanbul for the Champions League final, for example. Our fans are so loyal, they will try and get there somehow. The reality of it is I am a lot less confident of football finishing the season than I was 5 or 6 weeks ago. Now we are getting to the crux of the matter, and these types of decisions are having to be made. So it's a very, very difficult situation, and I'm not sure how it will develop. But fellow Sky Sports pundit Jamie Carragher, who is one of my favorite pundits, of course he's a Liverpool legend, played the second most games ever for Liverpool FC. Carragher said this: there have been a lot of semi-decisions to buy time, but I think very soon we will have to make decisions on this season and next season. Something's got to give at some stage. Maybe a competition this season or next has to be taken out of the calendar to allow space next season. Next season may be a tighter time frame. Right now no one has given up anything, but eventually we will need to make decisions and someone will lose out on something. And I think maybe the cup competitions, the League Cup, the FA Cup, especially the replays and the two-legged semi-finals in the League Cup, maybe those competitions will be the first to give way. And also there is a potential scenario where you can't finish this season in time. So you finish this season in September or October, maybe even in November. And then why not make the Premier League just 19 games next season? If you don't have the time for a full 38 game season, make it just 19 games. Make it that you only play each team once, and that way you could still have a complete Premier League season where you play everybody throughout the season, and then you will have time for the FA Cup, for the League Cup, for Champions League, for Europa League. But of course that's just one of the hypothetical scenarios that are mentioned. But Gary Neville disagreed with this point. He said, I actually get the feeling that the football authorities are stuck. Everyone is fending and fighting for their own rights. Where are the club owners and CEOs? There's an abyss of information. We are just speculating all the time. He's very right. No club owner, no CEO, and not even the chief executives of top Premier League clubs or the Premier League itself or the UEFA, FIFA, they didn't come out and say we will definitely do this or that or the other in this or that or the other scenario. They are very tight-lipped. Not a lot of information is coming out, and it's very difficult to just say in different scenarios what will be the solution. And Gary Neville agrees with this. He is saying football has gone quiet. It would be nice to hear them communicate about the challenges taking place. Even if you don't know the outcomes, you have to communicate. UEFA is also considering proposals which could see the Champions League final being played at the end of August, 3 months later than originally scheduled. And this is what Carragher said. I said something we'll probably have to give, and I've said previously that cup competitions will be more at risk than leagues, because when leagues finish, obviously impacts on next season. I don't think there's any way you can have Champions League games in the middle of leagues starting up in Europe, because games will be so spaced together to try and get the season done over 3 or 4 weeks that it feels like European competition will have to have its own situation. With the season moving on a month or two, everything will get pushed back. So when they talk about August, that wouldn't be the start of next season. August would instead feel like the summer of football in terms of the end of the season, when you might have the Champions League tournament, the Europa League tournament concluding. I think that would be a good idea. But the longer this goes on and things get pushed back, something has to give. The Euros is next summer, we know, so you almost have to work back from that. And yeah, that's the cutoff point. The Euros in 2021, you can't postpone that one more year, because then you have the World Cup in Qatar. So the football calendar will be upside down probably for the next 2 or 3 years. And it's going to be very, very interesting how it pans out. And of course, everybody is very nervous and anxious about this, because not finishing the football season in any league would give major problems. And also UEFA said that if you null and void your season, your clubs won't be able to play in the Champions League and in the Europa League next season. So that's a major deterrent. But if many teams, if many leagues do it, for example, if Spain, Italy, Germany don't complete their season, then what does UEFA do? That's the big question. But I think already in Germany and in Italy there are plans that they could restart their league with testing of everybody who is playing the game, and all the staff, the medical experts, everybody could test everyone taking part, and they could finish the season in 3 or 4 weeks, starting at the end of May or early June. That's the plan in Germany, that's the plan in Italy, maybe that's the plan in Spain as well. But in England, so far the situation is so bad that nobody dares to talk about when the football season could restart realistically. I also want to report another very interesting situation, is that the Liverpool players have held video calls and talks with Liverpool club executives over possible wage deferrals. So Liverpool players could take massive wage cuts in order to help Liverpool pay all their staff and also to keep the club operations going. This news comes just a couple of days after reports claimed that Arsenal were struggling to get their players on board with a similar idea. So we will talk about both of these reports, and the first report is coming from the Athletic. They are saying that Liverpool players have held 2 video conference meetings with club executives about the possibility of wage deferrals, wage deductions, and further discussions are on hold until the financial cost of this situation becomes clearer. But that could be months from now, so it's a very fluid situation. Whereas there had been growing tension between the board and the players at Arsenal in negotiations over salary cuts, over wage cuts, prior to a breakthrough on Thursday following Arteta, the Arsenal manager's personal interventions. But discussions at Liverpool have so far been only tentative, with no demands actually made. But Liverpool executives made a presentation to a group of senior Liverpool players spelling out the financial shortfall the club will face if the Premier League season cannot be concluded and broadcast revenue is lost. Liverpool would lose out on almost £60 million, like 58 or 59 million pounds. Plus, maybe the Premier League won't also give out the prize money or the whole prize money for finishing first in the Premier League season for Liverpool, and that could actually push Liverpool into financial turmoil, because these clubs are businesses and they don't have a lot of saved up cash. They always rely on continued incoming revenue streams, and those were cut off. A lot of them were cut off when football stopped and when the world stopped. Basically, many economies actually had to stop because of this situation. And the Guardian newspaper is reporting that Arsenal players rejected wage cuts in the first place, and they were actually demanding wage deferrals, which says that a solution could be that the wages that the Arsenal players would get now, they would get deferred and postponed with a fixed date when they get it back, which is very interesting. The standoff between Arsenal and their players over wage reduction risks sending an ultimate untimely ripple through waters that after a turbulent first half of the season seems to have calmed down since Mikel Arteta's arrival. And over the past 10 days, Arsenal have been in discussions with the players around the potential financial challenges ahead and how Arsenal are planning for those challenges. But these are productive and ongoing conversations about how our players might support their club in an appropriate way. And the Arsenal players' position is that only a deferral will do. And while the PFA representative Hector Bellerin, the Arsenal right back, is the conduit for negotiations with the club, the soundings being taken generally make it the concrete stance in this end. And one agent, who is an agent of one of the Arsenal players, said that the only solution has to be the deferral, and one without caveats relating to the Champions League, because the Arsenal players were told that they will get their full wages if Arsenal qualify for the Champions League, which I find absolutely hilarious, because Arsenal are in 8th place, and yes, they are not like 10 points behind 4th and 5th place. Even 5th place could qualify for the Champions League. But realistically, how realistic is that Arsenal could finish ahead of the 7th, 6th and 5th place team? So you have to finish above 3, potentially even 4 teams, and you have like 8 or 9 games to do that. And it's a lot easier to finish ahead of one team than 3 or 4. And because you need 3 or 4 teams to collect less points than your team, a lot less points if you want to finish ahead of them. And I think Arsenal are like 5 or 6 points behind Manchester United, who are in 5th place right now. But if Sheffield United win their game in hand, then they will be in 5th place, even further ahead than Arsenal. So it's a very delicate situation, and I'm not sure what the ultimate solution is. But I heard that Mikel Arteta stepped in on Thursday, so yesterday, and he's solving this situation. And I think the players and the club should meet halfway and work out a solution, because infighting is never good, especially not in a situation like this. Naby Keita also has spoken on what it is like to work with Jurgen Klopp. This is what he said: "When I arrived, I had to try to settle in and be able to integrate with the team. I respect Jurgen Klopp's choices, so I was there to work every day." He's somebody who is able to give you explanations on the field, and that helps a lot. And when you play, of course, you don't ever doubt yourself. That's coaching, and he sees everything. I think I have now improved a lot, apart from my injuries, which has kept me out of several matches this season. Klopp is somebody who communicates a lot, and he explains everything to all his players. He's a coach that gives you confidence, and he's the motivating factor before a match. But you've also got to get to be motivated on the field. When you see him on the sideline and you are on the field, it's as if he's playing with you, and that gives you a lot of desire to do better. He's always there for his players. He's almost like a best friend. But he's also a very serious coach who can communicate with all his players. He will always defend his players, because for him all the players are the same. There is no difference to him. He's always there to explain things to you, such as if you haven't played the best in a game, which is hard for coaches to do. But that's a choice he has to make, and it helps us fight even harder on the training pitch, to push hard so you can be playing at the weekend. Those are brilliant words by Naby Keita, and I really hope that once the season resumes, Naby Keita will be fully fit and he can contribute massively, because he's one of my favorite midfielders at Liverpool. He's just awesome to watch. He's such a skillful player. He glides through the pitch. He goes past so many people when he's on form, and I can't wait to watch him again. I just can't wait to watch football again, to be honest. I really hope that you found this video entertaining to watch. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Anyway.